Whenever it comes to fall bass fishing and my lure selection, versatility is key. I want to be able to attack those bass from many different angles, and having one lure that will give me that option to use on many different types of techniques and presentations is always a huge plus. So today we're going to be looking at the first lure that I usually reach for whenever I'm out on the water during the fall. Stick around, we're going to talk all about it. Got him. Ooh, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one, kids. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And as many of you already know, fall is my favorite time of the year to go bass fishing, and it's not even close. And there are some reasons for that. One of them being the water temperature has rapidly dropped over the past few weeks. A few weeks ago, the water temperatures in my area were about 97, 98 degrees and higher. That's practically bath water. Fast forward to the early part of October, and the water temperatures has substantially decreased. Last time I was out at the Big Lake, the water temperatures were about 82 degrees. That has the effect of making those bass much more comfortable and more willing to chase bait and bite. Another great added benefit is there is much less pressure on our fisheries. There's less fishing pressure, and there's also less pleasure boating pressure. Less jet skis, less sports boats, less tubing, less water skiing. All of those things add up to make the bass more comfortable and willing to activate on our lures, because those bass are in migration mode right now all across the country. They're heading back from out deep and using those old migration routes like we've talked about before, and heading back to the first third and the middle third of those pockets where they're going to start to feed up. You know, I've talked about some of the lures that are working exceptionally well for me, like a bladed jig. My homemade quarter-ounce bladed jigs have been tearing them up when I haven't been able to buy a bite on a bladed jig in a long time. I've changed a few things. I've been going to a smaller size and using my homemade versions, which have a lot of flash and a lot of thump, and they've had a great effect. I've been able to catch some nice fish pretty quickly, and I've been doing it in some more open water or along some structure and cover. Another lure that has worked well for me is topwater. I've been using poppers, I've been using boy howdies, I've been using frogs, and I've had a lot of success. Again, working the edges, working right up against the bank, because that is where those fish are. A lot of those areas, I can work those isolated spots, and I work a bait like a popper, or I work something like a boy howdy, an isolated target. I'm not working it in a long stretch. Even when I'm doing something like a walking bait, like that Yo-Zuri 3DB that I love so much, I'm working them in spots right along that flooded brush, and I'm getting monster bites time and time and time again. But you know what? There is one lure that I always reach for whenever I got to have a bite. Whenever I know those bass are up under that flooded brush, or they're in those isolated pockets, or they're in cover and structure, and I got to get the skunk out of the boat quick, well, obviously I'm reaching for a 5-inch stick bait, a Senko. No surprise there. But the versatility of these things and how I'm working them in the fall puts them head and shoulders above every other type of presentation that I'm using. But before we get started, if you like what I'm doing here, click that subscribe button down below. We would love to have you as a member of this community. While you're down there, give this video a like. I would really appreciate it, and it helps the channel grow. And if you haven't yet, head on over to patreon.com and check out my members page. It's where I post videos that I don't post here. They're completely different. It's talking about my boat, how I want to restore it, getting you guys to help me pick things for it, or behind the scenes about how I'm making the videos. I really think you're going to like it, so check it out. So, 5-inch stick bait, a Senko, right? What's so amazing about this? Well, this is one of those lures that if you know, you know. There are so many different ways to work this, and it really lends itself to such incredible fishing, especially now. You know, you could drag it on a weighted Texas rig, but believe it or not, that's not really what I'm doing, because those bass are up under that flooded brush, and I need to get back up underneath there in order to target them. So instead of doing a weighted Texas rig, I'm doing a weightless Texas rig. I've got a 4 or 5/0 EWG. And the way these kind of drift down in the water, they kind of have a glide. They kind of have a little bit of a swirl, a little bit of unpredictable action. It's got that great dying bait fish fly. You know, the bass go crazy over these, and you can really catch some nice fish. It's a little bit more patient fishing because you've got to wait for it to go down. But if you're fishing 2 or 3 feet of water, it's not that bad. So it's a great way to get a lot of bites. Now, next up, obviously, the good old wacky rig, right? I've caught so many fish on a wacky rig, and these skip so well. You can just easily sling these right up under that flooded brush, right around laydowns, right up under docks. And that's where I'm fishing a wacky rig. I'm fishing a wacky rig where I can work that open hook and not really have a big headache about it. I can cast it under docks. I can get it up under large laydowns, branches that are coming up over the water. I'm not doing this so much whenever there's a lot of flooded bushes that go down into the water because I get snagged up a lot, and that's a headache. I have something else that I use for that. If I'm fishing something like timber and the water's a little bit deeper, like you've got that 45, well, a good friend of the channel making a comeback is the wacky jig. It's the same thing as a wacky rig, but I'm using an 1/8 ounce or a 3/16 ounce or a 1/4 ounce bitsy bug or bitsy flip that I've taken the skirt off of, and I've got it wacky rigged. This thing is amazing. Now, the fall on it is not nearly as fast as you think it would be. It doesn't necessarily rocket down to the bottom. It goes faster, but it still has plenty of action. That worm has a lot of flap still to it, and it gets the attention of those bass. They are up on it quicker than you would think. I've caught a lot of fish, and I do it really quickly, as a matter of fact. I can make 1 or 2 casts to a laydown, and I'm already getting bites because I'm getting that reaction strike because those bass are activated. They're in a lot more active mood. Again, a consequence of the cooler waters and fall fishing in general. But you know which one I'm going to be using the most. If you watch this channel on a regular basis, or even on a semi-regular basis, you already know which way I'm going to be rigging a 5-inch stick bait, and that's obviously the Waco rig. I know I talk about it a lot, but I'm using it, right? I mean, this is what I'm using. I gotta love how a Waco rig skips. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah, it's gonna twist me, but that's all right. Got him. Ooh, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one, kids. There we are. Come here, you. Oh, I got you pretty good. You were not going anywhere. I had a feeling there was a fish up under there. There we go. £1.25. Nice £1.25 fish. Beautiful. Look at the gorgeous color on that thing. He wanted that Waco rig, and he dang sure got it too. We're going to let this gorgeous little bass go. Let him get a little bit bigger. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate it. There he goes. All right. Let's go do that again. Now, whenever I talk about a lure or a presentation that I'm using, whatever I'm out on the water, the thing about it is I don't go out on the water and say, okay, well, I'm going to do a spinnerbait video today. I might have it in my mind that I would like to do a spinnerbait video, but the bass may or may not cooperate. So I need to use what's going to work. So I let the bass tell me what are they going to bite. And time and time and time again, this is what they are devouring. I can skip up under that flooded brush with this. Again, It's an EWG. It's a 1/0 EWG with a tungsten nail weight, a small tungsten nail weight that is pushed into that egg sac. And it just works. It works like a fluke. Whenever you twitch it, it's got that slither in the water. And whenever you kill it, it goes right back to that wacky rig fall every single time. It's very useful and it's very predictable. And I can cast it up under that flooded brush. It skips like a dream. The reason why I came up with the Waco rig is because as much as I fish a wacky rig and as much as I love fishing a wacky rig, I can't skip it up under flooded brush without getting hung up all the time. And that's where the bass are. You've got to go where the bass are. And in order to get the bites, you've got to go where the bass are. Sure, you can get some that are going to come to the edge. That's why I fish the topwater. I'll fish a popper. I'll fish a walking bait right along that brush edge. And I'm going to get as close as I can. And sometimes you can get a bass to come out, get that topwater, and go back in. It's a fun bite, and I love doing it. But a lot of times, you've got to go underneath where they are and put that bait right up on top of their noses so they're guaranteed to inhale it. So that's why I use the Waco rig. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter really what you're using, but if you really want to get the maximum out of your fall fishing, you're going to have to rig a stick bait. They just work. Whatever colors you want to use, a lot of times on my fishery, these dark colors, these purples and blues, even in crystal clear gin water, those bass are attracted to those darker colors, the black blue flake and the purples and the blacks. Just straight black worm will also be super effective because that's what they're after in my lake for whatever reason. Your fishery, they may be after something else. You know, they may like the old watermelon red. They may like green pumpkin. But find which ones the bass are liking. That's what you can get bites on consistently. And I'm telling you, a lot of times you'll be able to use that base color in order to get bites you didn't think that you were going to be able to get, you know. And I'm just fishing this on a simple spinning setup. I've got 10-pound braid to an 8-pound co-poly leader because I want a little bit of stretch. This is a medium or medium light rod, 7 foot. I can skip with a 7 foot and a 7.2 rod. It's what I'm comfortable with. But if you want to learn how to skip or you're having a hard time skipping, dial the length of that rod back down a little bit. You know, 6'10", 6'8", somewhere in that area should get you where you need to go when you're trying to skip a rod. But it's just very easy. You know, whenever you're skipping a bait, a wacky rig is a great place to start. A Waco rig is an amazing place to start. Super easy to do. Just take a spinning rod and just do it like you're trying to cast a stone, like you're trying to skip a flat stone. You'll get it figured out, and it's not hard. I practiced doing it in open water for a long time, off of piers, off of the bank, before I ever even started working from the boat. But I got that muscle memory in, and now it's no problem, and I can teach other people to do it. It's very simple. Roll your wrist, cast it out. Make sure you're not rocketing it into the water. You want to go above the water. That's your goal. Your goal is to try to make that bait go kind of above the water, kind of hover above it. You'll find how great that works, especially, like I say, you're going to be chipping from the green, not driving from the tee. Use that mentality. Don't try to hit a home run with it. You're not trying to knock a grand slam. You're trying to easy do it. You'll find it skips much better and you'll be much more accurate. And a Senko, again, a stick bait is going to be the perfect tool for the job. So doesn't matter if you're fishing from a boat, doesn't matter if you're fishing from the bank. All anglers like stick baits for good reason. And right now, especially with those bass right up against the bank, is the perfect time to find the different ways you can use a stick bait and catch a lot more fish this fall. So there you have it. Some easy to do stick bait tricks that will get more bites. You may have to make some minor adjustments based on your fishery, but it doesn't matter whether you're working a wacky rig, a NACO rig, a weighted wacky rig, a weightless Texas rig, or especially the Waco rig, you will get more bites. When you're trying to get the skunk out, you're going to have a hard time beating the stick bait for doing that. So try these out. The results are going to speak for themselves. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.